And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson.
100%.
And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
It's not any bad.
Oh my God, it's 2025. The new year is here. So many things have been happening. It's incredible. And it is time for the Weighing In podcast to get our asses in gear and let's go, baby. What's happening? You are still in California? I don't know, man. You're so damn lazy.
I am lazy, man. I am lazy. But guess what? We are less than 24 hours into 2025, and I still haven't seen Alex Bahia fight yet. So I'm wondering how long that's going to take. Because this guy is fighting left and right. What he fought 4 times last year, I think, or something like some nonsense like that. Let's be honest. I'm looking forward to seeing him fight probably early February. I'm hearing early February, John, that he's got a fight. February. He has a fight announcement coming in hot. Coming in hot. I'm pumped, man. How was your New Year's? How was your New Year's? Let's talk to Dave first, because then Dave just fades off into the abyss after we.
Can't have Dave fade off.
No, what's up, buddy?
What's up? Hold on, there we go.
How was the New Year's?
New Year's was good. We just went to a friend's house. In fact, I was home by 11 and sleeping by midnight, so that's how it was.
Your new version of bottle service now will be when you're bringing the baby's bottle to the room at midnight, right? That's going to be, you'll have just like what do they call the sparklers and all the other stuff? That's what you're going to have?
Exactly.
Hold on. Is it not amazing how, I mean, when you were younger, let's think about it. New Year's Eve was like, yeah, that's party time, man. It's time to go. Yeah. And we're out doing stuff. And we're not. Now, as you get older, it's like, yeah, I don't need to do that shit. It's just like, yeah, you get past it. Even a young guy like Dave gets past it. It's just the way it is.
Young, he's fucking 40, I think, or some shit, right? Aren't you?
Dave, no, I'm not 40.
Cool. Hey, you ran a marathon, or you ran a half marathon? How was that?
No, I ran it last year.
What?
You son of a bitch! 24 hours ago or some shit. You ran it last year.
I ran it
that was in
January.
2024.
I ran a half in January, but I'm running it again in a couple of weeks.
Oh, I saw a picture or an image. I thought you ran it like recently. Is there a new? I thought you finished one like a couple of days ago.
No, that was January.
Did you see the one that I sent you though? That I want to run that one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, let's go. Let's sign up for that one. Whatever that one is, John. There's a half marathon or a marathon or whatever where you run, and every water stop they're giving you different types of alcohol, and so. This girl videoed it the whole way, and she got to like mile 18, and she was shit faced. Oh, just funny. She's like, I'm so drunk, and it was just funny. But she was like drinking, she'd drink a Coors, then she'd drink a Guinness, then she'd do a shot of fucking Hennessy, then she was drinking like different types of champagne.
While you're running,
while you're running. That's horrible. I said it to Dave. I said, bro, let's sign up for this. Okay, my first one back will be that one.
Good one to come back.
Yeah, it'd be a great one to come back to. I don't have to worry about time. Anyways, well, hey, there's a lot going on. We talked about this being the 2025 predictions for John and I had a couple predictions last show, but not so much predictions, just things we'd like to see moving forward into 2025. But this is more of like predictions that we think may come true or things that we'd really, really like to see come true. But before we go ahead and move on with this, this episode is brought to you by BetUS, the best betting odds around in the business. And John and I have been working with them for, almost a little over a year now. And look, they've been a great relationship for us. So if you guys would like to, use YouTube 150 as the promo code, give you 150% bonus on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits. Like I said, one thing about them that we've liked out of all the other sponsors we worked with in the betting sites is that they actually pay our members. And so that was one of the reasons why we left one of our past betting members, companies, is that they were having a hard time getting their money out. We don't have to worry about that with BetUS, and they do what they say. And we are very happy to work with them, and it's been a privilege working with them this whole year. So it's been awesome. Looking forward to what 2025 has, and looking forward to it, man. On top of that, LMNT, the best hydration drink in the business. John, are you drinking one? Because I'm out of town. I don't have one on hand. But do you have one with you or no?
I do have one. It's right in my fridge right here.
There you go. So, hey, want to make sure that you guys enjoy the best hydration business around LMNT. LMNT is how you spell it. LMNT, but it is LMNT. So check it out. And use the link in our descriptions down below, and they'll give you a bonus package of product with every purchase. And, of course, we are continuing our relationship with OnlyFans. And guess what I just saw? Valentina Shevchenko just signed with OnlyFans.
I
Should we do
saw
extra
that.
content? I think it's amazing, man. Like
It
I'm
is. It's
telling you,
awesome.
John, how does it make you feel? Like for me, it makes me feel good knowing that we are basically the first MMA podcast, actually the first podcast ever that they worked in partnership with. And on top of that, we've helped kind of break that threshold to get more fighters onto this platform and just talking about it. It's basically opened the eyes to a lot of the other fighters getting on there. Chris Cyborg is on there. Look, I know there's a lot of female fighters that are already on there that were on there before we signed with them, but this is an actual partnership we have with them, and we enjoy it. We're bringing them MMA content to their platform, and we offer it for free, so you guys can subscribe to us over there for free. Demetrius Johnson's on there, Stipe Miocic's on there, Valentina Shevchenko's on there, Chris Cyborg, AJ McKee, Luke Rockhold. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There's more athletes being on there. Look, whatever you guys follow over there, it does not follow into other things unless you follow those other things. Okay, so if you follow only MMA fighters, that's what you're gonna get is only MMA fighters in your algorithm. They will never send you smut, all right, or anything else. But make sure if you guys get in trouble with your wife, that's on you, not on us. So just wanted to point that out. Hey guys, we want to thank you also too by supporting. If you guys want to support us, support our sponsors. And Dave, let's go ahead and move on with this. You had predictions, 2025 predictions. That was your idea for this show, and it's live. But let's go ahead and jump right in. John, what's your first prediction of 2025? You go, I go, you go, I go.
Oh my God! Well, you know what? I'm looking at Dave's little, thing for our show that's sitting up there, our thumbnail up there, and he's got right in the middle of it my first prediction. And my first prediction of 2025 is not really it's not a just wow, that's amazing, because it's anyone can pick it out, and it's going to happen one of two ways. I have Tom Aspinall being the UFC heavyweight champion in the year 2025. Now that can happen one of two ways, Josh. It's going to happen either by he's going to face John Jones, and he could be the first person to defeat John Jones. But if he doesn't, I see John Jones stepping away from the sport, and the UFC is going to end up putting Tom Aspinall against somebody else, and he'll win the title that way. So he's going to end up being the UFC champion, heavyweight champion, undisputed champion in the year 2025. That is my first prediction for this year.
John, I feel like you always have an scapegoat. Like there's always a way out for you to like not pick something 100%. That's what just 100%.
Happened. I'm 100%. Tom Aspinall is going to be the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion in the year 2025, and it can happen two ways. I mean, I don't know how that's not being, on it and saying, this is my prediction.
Okay, I'm going to say it one step further, because that was my number one prediction also, that Tom Aspinall beats John Jones.
Wow.
I'm just going to come out and say it. Look, that fight's got to happen first. So that's kind of my way out. If it doesn't happen, then we're both SOL. So, but
true.
Look, I think that Tom Aspinall beats John Jones. I think the size, I think the speed, I think he's got the power. He's got the ability off of his back, and I think that's the one area that John Jones has the advantage is the wrestling. I know Aspinall can wrestle, but I think just the craftiness of John, the ability to wrestle, but also getting older is harder to wrestle for John Jones. But I'm going to go with my prediction of 2025 to start it off. I think that Tom Aspinall, if that fight happens, he beats John Jones.
Yeah, see, it works either way. My way, he beats him, he's the undisputed champion. If he doesn't, John's going to end up stepping away as a undefeated basic fighter in the UFC, the heavyweight champion, putting the belt down, and they're going to put Tom Aspinall against somebody else in the heavyweight division, and I picked Tom Aspinall to win that fight. So,
here's my only thing. If they do fight and John does beat Aspinall, Aspinall could end up just being on the sideline for the rest of 2025. Not that he won't fight, but John can end up fighting Alex Bahia too if Alex is able to get past his next fight, and you can end up with a fight where that takes the whole year. So those two fights in 1 year, and then John walks off into the sunset, claiming to be the greatest fighter of all time.
There you go.
There you go.
It's a claim that's not far from being true.
What's crazy is that we didn't talk about this at all beforehand. So all of your picks, I have no idea, and I even told you let's not talk about it, and I didn't even bring up mine. But what's your number? The fact that we got number one together is pretty cool. I think these great minds think alike. I like that. If you notice, we didn't ask Dave for any tips, so that's why great minds think. Okay, but anyways, what's your next one?
My number 2 prediction for the 2025 in the UFC, you are going to see Kayla Harrison becoming the bantamweight champion in the UFC. She will get that title, and she will defend that thing for quite a while.
Okay, you and I are on the same exact page. This is so weird. Like I said, we didn't think about it, but I go one step further.
Go ahead.
So I think that Kayla Harrison becomes the UFC champion, but I think that she fights Amanda Nunes next after she wins it. And I don't know. I didn't give a prediction on whether she beat Amanda Nunes or not, but I think she ends up fighting Amanda Nunes by the end of 2025.
Very good. Could happen.
That is the money fight. We all know that's the money fight. We've seen Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. I think sure they're the 1-1 thing, but I don't think there's a lot to see after the last fight where it was basically domination by Amanda Nunes. I know the first fight was domination as well, but this was different. When you drag it out for almost the whole lot of the fight,
no, it was the whole fight.
Yeah, the whole fight, and then you get to the end and you realize one side just got dominated. It's like, okay, why am I going to do part 3? And when I'm watching this, and I know Dave's probably I'm driving him nuts by leaning left and right. He's like, bro, try and stay in the frame. But I'm going to take it one step further. I think Amanda Nunes, she's waiting for this. I think she's still training. She did that video basically, doing the dance, talking about I'm ready to come back. And I really believe that the UFC is priming her saying, hey, if Kayla wins this fight, I want to put together, I want you guys to main event it in Madison Square Garden or in the T-Mobile Arena. I think that there's all that hype that's going to come around. You have a two-time Olympic gold medalist, former PFL multiple-time champion, going to be probably the current UFC champion when they're ready to fight. Amanda Nunes coming off being considered one of the best, if not the greatest of all time in the female division. Let's see these two put it on. That's former teammates. That makes it even more controversial. Both trained at American Top Team. Amanda left as Kayla was making her rise. It's a lot. They used to work together. They used to train together. They know each other really well. I think that's a huge moneymaker for them. I think that they're priming Amanda Nunes for that fight.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's actually, if you're going to have Amanda come back, it's the way to have Amanda actually make that repeat. I don't think against Juliana Pena, no disrespect.
Nope.
As you said, the second fight, although Juliana looked great in the first one and she got the finish, the second fight was just a beat down. And it makes it to where people look and go, well, I mean, I saw her for 5 rounds just get beaten. Now she's tough as hell. She stayed in there, but it doesn't help in making that trilogy fight. So I agree with you. I think it is Kayla Harrison getting that belt. I think Kayla Harrison is then going to defend that belt. And it could be, if Amanda wants to come back, which she has talked about, it could be against her former teammate in Amanda Nunes. And that would be fantastic.
See, I thought we would split ways after the first time we both got it together. And I think the second time, there's just no way 3 could happen, us being the same. So go ahead and go for it, man. What's your third one?
All right, my next prediction for 2025, with all the things that are happening and all the things that we've been talking about with the PFL and Bellator and all these things. Don't tell me you're going to do it.
Go ahead.
I think it would be intelligent for the PFL to talk with the UFC, and you have fighters that you really are not using because you don't have those weight classes. Well, let's get some trades going between the PFL and the UFC. I think we could get some really good trades to where the PFL would be giving up great fighters. I'm not saying they're not, but the UFC showed that they're willing to give up great fighters when they traded Demetrius Johnson to 1 for Ben Askren. So it's not like, the UFC is sitting there saying, oh no, we'll take all the good fighters and give you crap. I think that they would actually give fighters over to the PFL that would be exciting in the PFL, would be, in a position to win championships possibly. I think that there's going to be some trades it's trades between the UFC and the PFL for people like Patchy Mix, Johnny Eblin, possibly based upon the 185. They don't have that, but definitely guys like Patchy Mix and maybe Patricio Pitbull.
Yeah, I didn't go the trade route, which I think is a great idea. Just for me, I feel like with the UFC, there's no reason for them to do that. I believe that the PFL is whether they're hemorrhaging their money or whether they're just struggling right now, either financially or just not knowing what to do with the promotion because they still have Bellator. They still have, are you going to wrap that up? Are we going to see that go away? And my prediction is that the UFC is going to be able to sign 5 to 7 of their fighters because Bellator will fold. And when Bellator folds, a lot of those fighters will not go to PFL because they'll want to restructure their contract. So when they do that, those athletes will become available in terms of just being released. Or the PFL is going to have to pay them their honorable contract, their honor contracts, or to honor their contracts.
You got to honor them,
yeah. So I think that, and look, and I also believe this. I don't think the UFC wants a lot of those fighters. They want 5 to 7 of their guys, and that's it. They don't want more. There's no need. But I think that they would go with Johnny Eblen because he'd be a little bit of a shot in the arm for the 185-pound division. Plus, there's really nowhere else for him to go. He would like to go there probably too as well. For sure, Patchy Mix, because that's the most stacked division in the sport right now. It's continued to be that way for the last, 2 or 3 years. The 135-pound division has been the most stacked division in the sport. I get outside of that, John, out of those two. I mean, I say Patricio because you have Jose Aldo, you've got Volkanovski who's coming off the 2 losses, but also 2 very similar body styles. I'd love to see that matchup. They're both getting a little bit older. I know that Volk's not super old, but he is getting a little bit older. That just makes for a fun fight, I think. There's fights to be had there for him. Plus, just having him against Aldo in Brazil, to me, we talked about this last show, it would just be historic, I think, for the Brazilians, for both of them as well to fight. They know each other. They speak very highly of each other. And I think anytime you can fight a friend and do it in your own country, it's what a blessing, right? What a blessing to try to wrap up your career on something like that. I think he'd really enjoy it. Outside of those 3 fighters, give me some other names that you think the UFC would be interested in.
I think, guys, the 135-pound division is really what I was thinking about when I was saying this because they don't have it. And I'm thinking guys like Magomedov.
100%.
He'd be a perfect fighter for the UFC to throw in there. He's already had fights with Peter Yan. This is a guy that he's got a style that's unique. You got Magomed Sharapov. You know what? He would be, Kassan. He can go 135. He can go 145. And you already saw what his brother could do in the UFC. Mm-hmm. So the lighter weight guys in the weight categories that the PFL doesn't have, like I think you could, give up some of them contracts if you're not going to be using them. Hell, it's time to freaking, let those guys, go. You get something in return that's going to work for the weight classes that you have. The other one that, they might give up, I'm not saying, they would want to, but, it depends upon the contracts and everything. You've got that fighter in the 125-pound women's division that we talked about in Dakota. Mm-hmm. Man, I would love to see her going over there and taking on, people like Alexa Grasso and Shevchenkov. I mean, that would be Valentina Shevchenko would be fantastic to watch those two go at it. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I do think that there's going to be something that comes up.
MMA Fighting, David Martin did an interview with Dakota, and she basically said, I've gone through the European season. I went up and I went up and I went up. I won that, and then I stepped up and went to the global season, and I went up and went up and went up. Just beat Talia Santos. Now I've got to keep that movement going. I'm 26. I don't want to sit here. I am or I don't want to go down. For me, it's important that me and PFL come up with something that challenges me and that I keep progressing. That's the main thing for me.
See?
John, they have nothing for her to progress on.
That's the real question. That's the real question. So it's a matter of, if it's almost one of those, sometimes you can't hold on to people because they've gone through what you have, and they want to have, that goal, and they want to get excited about that next, step up in competition, if that's what it is. And it's going to be hard to hold on to those people, when their contracts are up. So if you can get something for them that's going to help your promotion, I'm all for it. But we'll see what happens. But I think there's going to be some trades.
Yeah, look, I do know from past experiences, I knew that like there were some moments there where certain guys were talking with Bellator and UFC about trading right around the time Scott Coker took over. There was also obviously the trade with ONE FC in the UFC. So they have been known in the past to do trades. I just don't feel like this is the opportunity or the time frame in which they would do it. Look, a lot of these fighters may end up leaving for no reason. They may not want to negotiate their contract. So what would be the reason for me to go ahead and give them a fighter when I know that fighter will be available?
If that's what they know and what is going to
Yeah.
happen, but they're going to have to be talking to the fighter, and there's things about talking to those fighters for. And what you're really going to be talking to is the managers, and the managers are the ones that look. It was the managers that made the whole trade between Demetrius Johnson and Ben Askren happen. They went to the UFC and to ONE with this idea, and both of them liked it in the end and said, all right, let's do it. And it could be the same matter of unfolding in that same fashion in the year 2025. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, we've pretty much been right 3-on-3, John. We've been right together. The things that we predicted. What's number 4 for you?
Well, it kind of happens with doesn't matter if it happens with a trade or not, or someone just, not being able to work out a contract. But I'm going to predict that in the year 2025, and there's a lot of things that have to happen with this, but in the year 2025, you're going to see the first pair of brothers in Umar Nurmagomedov and Usman Nurmagomedov being simultaneous title holders in the UFC. One in the bantamweight division and one in the lightweight division.
Interesting. I see that happening. I think Umar beats Merab. Is that what you're talking about? Are you talking about if Usman goes to the UFC, becomes UFC champion the same time as Umar?
I'm looking. No, it's going to be at the same time. I'm not saying it's the same night, but I'm saying I believe that Umar is going to be the winner of the fight against Merab, and so then you have Sarukian and Islam fighting that same night, and no matter what, whether Islam wins or whether he loses, I see him going up in weight. I see him, challenging himself in other ways after Sarukian. So if he wins, I think, he's going to drop the belt, go to 170 pounds. That's an opening right there in the 155 pound division. And you're going to see Usman has got a fight against Paul Hughes. That's a tough fight, but I think he'll get past that. He'll continue to have that championship belt, but his contract's going to come to an end. He's going to want to go, and they've already planned it out. Trust me, you know that, to the UFC. And right away, I think the UFC within 2 fights, if not 1 fight, they're going to have Usman Nurmagomedov fighting for that championship, same as they just had Asakura, taking on Pantoja. You're going to see Nurmagomedov in that title fight, and he's going to be a hard person for any of them to beat.
I think I would agree with you. I think they will be champions simultaneously, but I also think that Usman will become the champion in the UFC at 155 pounds as well. So they will probably be champions there.
That's what I said. What the hell are you talking about? That's what my prediction is.
You never said UFC champion.
Yes, I did.
No, you just said
champions. No, you're wrong. There's simultaneous. I said simultaneous.
Dave, I can't wait for the playback on this.
In the UFC.
Your age is really coming through today in 2025.
My God, you are absolutely. He's already a goddamn fucking. All I would be saying then is that Umar is going to beat Merab. Then they're simultaneous title holders. No, in the UFC, you're going to see Usman become the 155-pound champion in the UFC, while Umar is the 135-pound champion.
So you think that you think Islam's going to go up, and even if Bilal is the champ, there he'll challenge Bilal.
I think you're going to see Islam going up, and even if he doesn't fight Bilal right away, he's going to wait a little bit. But I think he's in that position where he's had to do big weight cuts. He's getting tired of the weight cuts as he gets a little bit older. He knows that Usman is coming. They're all about taking care of each other. These are guys that train together all the time. They're there to help each other all the time. And I think just as Khabib wanted to hand off the title in a fashion to Islam, you're going to see the same thing with Islam allowing Usman to come in.
Got it. Okay, so my prediction didn't go that way.
Okay.
My prediction is I think by the middle or the end of 2025, we may see Horiguchi back in the UFC.
He's already said he wants to come back.
That doesn't. Fighters talk about all the time. They say they want to go back. Fighters say they always want. They all want to go to the UFC. Isn't that what this?
No, I mean to see Horiguchi come back at 125, I think it'd be fantastic because he's fun to watch.
He's been fighting 135 pounders and 140 pounders. Like get him back to fighting guys his size. Have him do another run. They're trying to spruce up that whole division. Let's see what happens, man. I think he'd be a great addition, whether he's successful there or not to become champion. Who knows? But look, I think I've always said this. You add one fighter into each weight class, it really sends shockwaves through the weight class. The weight class starts all of a sudden going, this dude's going to come here on my territory. What does he think? He's going to jump me. He's going to leapfrog me. I'm going to be – and if you're the person fighting him when he first comes in, oh, they want me to lose. That's what goes through your mind. You're like, oh, they want me to lose. They're using me as a stepping stone to get this guy to the title because he's new to the promotion. Yeah. And in the other token, if you're the guy coming in, they match you against someone they think we can beat you. So you're in your mind, you're like, they're trying to get me beat because they don't want me to be their title. That maybe later on they want me to make a run. But so it goes both ways for both fighters. But I think Horiguchi ends up back in the UFC. Let's just be honest. The way things are laying out right now, whether it's one championship, whether it's PFL, whether it's Bellator and the UFC, it's just a mess right now in the promotion division. You got the GFL, right? They're coming around. John and I are looking to start our EFC here pretty soon, which is the Enhanced Fighting Championships. Everyone on steroids.
Everyone.
Everybody.
Juice to the gills.
We're gonna see. We're gonna go back to the Pride days, man. Let's go. Those are the most exciting fights. Let's just throw them all on some testosterone and see what happens. Whatever they can put in their bodies, let's go. No, that's it. But I think Horiguchi's gonna end up back there, and I think it'll be great for that division. That division. I was bored of it when Demetrius was there. He was making it look so easy. He's so damn good. He's still so damn good. I know he's retired now and stuff, but like he made it look so easy. It became a boring weight class.
That's true.
It's tough because like when Floyd was fighting guys all the time, Floyd Mayweather, and he was fighting guys, he's making it look easy. And people are like, okay, I'm just tuning in to watch him get beat. And he's never getting beat. He's not even getting touched. So they get annoyed. I spent $60, $70 on this thing. He's not even getting touched. I'm getting mad, irritated. So that's kind of what I felt like people were seeing when people were watching Demetrius Johnson fight. Having Horiguchi back, Pantoja being so exciting, just so aggressive. You've got all the other guys, Moreno and those guys all in there, Royval. There's a good mix-up of good fighters in there. So they're fun, entertaining. They let it all out. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how that division goes. 135, you add Patchy Mix. 145. I liked your call out of Hassan Magomed Sharipov. If you add him into that 145 pound division, that would be very exciting, along with Patricio for some of the older guys. That'd be a great. Those two great additions right there off the bat. Plus Magomedov. 45. That's 45. But you add those, man, that'd be just great. Great to see those guys in there. 55, obviously Usman. Maybe an AJ McKee, whatever it is. Like there's guys there to be had. I think AJ should go back down to 45. That's where I think his body frame, all that stuff. He's still young. He can still do it. He's 29 years old, I believe, and so there's a lot there for him. John, what's your next one? I believe it's your last one, correct?
It is my last one, and it is one that when I say this, don't think that I'm saying he's stepping away forever. But
you son of a gun.
I think we're gonna see.
You got the what? Same one as me. You son of a gun. I swear to you. Go ahead.
I think that Dana White is going to be stepping away from the UFC for a while. I'm not saying it's forever. I'm not saying he's not going to come back at some point. But Dana's going to be taking a sabbatical from the sport of mixed martial arts and his love affair with the UFC, which he has been so successful with, and putting all of his energy and effort into the boxing promotion with Turki Al-Kashik. And I think that MMA is going to miss him for a while. I really do. I think, he's got that personality that people just, no matter what he says, they bite into it, and he's good for creating controversy at times. He's good for making things seem, everything is okay at times. And so watching Dana step away is a possibility in 2025 that I'm not sure I'm actually going to like, because, even though there's times he has pissed me off and I've pissed him off, I still care about the guy, and I know he's great for the sport.
No, I think he's absolutely great for the sport. And that was my fifth one as well. I believe he's going to step away. Now, I don't know if he's going to step away. Yes, exactly. I don't know if he's going to step away in terms of he still won't be the face. I just don't think he'll be as hands-on. I think he'll still do fuck it Fridays or whatever he calls it. I don't know, something along. I know that's Dean Thomas, but it's whatever his Friday thing is, the Fight Friday, whatever it is. When he does that whole thing. My thought is he's going to spend a lot of time that first year, maybe 2 years, trying to get boxing off the ground, and there's going to take a lot of dedication and time to that.
Sure.
And so for him to do that, he's going to have to. He's going to have to spend a lot of time possibly overseas. He's going to have to spend a lot of time meeting with promoters and getting fighters on under contracts and making that all work. And so there's going to be a lot of dedication and time to that. So hopefully he gets it done, but I don't think he's going to fully step away. I still think we'll see him quite a bit. I don't think he'll be cage side for the fight nights. I don't think he'll be cage side for the smaller shows. I think that'll be left to Mick and Hunter, and Sean Shelby, those guys. I just think that Dana will step away for those. I think the pay-per-views, he'll always be there. I just think the pay-per-view shows he's always going to be a part of. Those are his ones that he has a lot of money guaranteed on. Fighters, his reputation, all that stuff is still intact. It still needs to stay intact, and he can only do that making sure he's producing or providing world-class level pay-per-views. The other shows, the Apex, the other fight nights, all that stuff, I think that he's going to go ahead and let them do what they do. And they're going to garner the same amount of viewership whether I think he's there or not.
So you're basically putting him into the Joe Rogan category of, I'm going to pick the fights that I'm doing for all the pay-per-views, because that's Joe. Okay, it could be, but I do think you're going to see the Dana kind of stepping away from his assignments that he's always done with UFC. I think Hunter Campbell is going to come in and take over a lot of that area, and look, Hunter's going to do a great job. Super smart, does a great job with everything. I don't think the UFC is going to in any way show like, oh my god, this is a detriment to us, but it will be just for the fans. It definitely will be for the fans.
Who's going to be the guy up front though, like with the voice?
I think it's going to be Hunter. I think Hunter's going to be the guy that's going to take over and be the guy that does the media scrums, because look, he's super smart. And he understands the fighters. The fighters, they like him. He deals with them very well, and he's that guy. And it's always been that there's always been that whole thought process of when Dana leaves, who would be the guy to take his place? And they've talked about fighters, Dan Cormier, and stuff. I've heard his name. I'm like, no, it's going to take someone that understands the business side of things and is really good with those things. And I think Hunter is that guy.
But are you going to get the sound bites with Hunter that you'd potentially get?
I don't think. No, I don't. No, DC's not. I'm no disrespect to Dan, but when you're talking about sound bites, you have to be smart about. If there's one thing you got to give Dana when he says a lot of things, he understands what he says. I can tell Dana used to sit there, and I would have a fight. He'd look and he'd go, "Hey, man, that was a great job in that fight, but I want I got to throw you under the bus because I got to make this fight happen again." Right? And it's like, yeah, okay, and he would, and he would do it in a way that you go, all right, he threw me under the bus, but he told me he was going to, and he did a good job of it the way he did it. So he's so smart as far as manipulating the media the way he wants and getting them to put out, little tidbits of, well, Dana White said this, and and he knows when to shut his mouth too. And they'll ask him a question of something that he knows the answer to, but he doesn't answer it. And he is absolutely just a fucking genius when it comes to the manipulation of the media and where he wants them to go and how he wants them to represent his product. He's fantastic with it. And if there's going to be a guy that would be close to that, it would be Hunter Campbell.
Yeah, I don't think I could disagree with you any more than that. I think Hunter he's got the relationship with the managers, he's got the respect of the fighters.
Yep.
Mick plays a pretty big role as well, but I don't think Mick really wants that job either.
No, but and Mick is he's a matchmaker along with Sean Shelby.
Yep.
And he's got his hands full. It's we sit here and we've come up with fights all the time, and we're coming up with 2 fights. He's got and Sean Shelby have in 13 fights a show every week. Their hands are absolutely just phone busy, going crazy, signing stuff. They're busy.
But it's not all. Look, matchmakers just don't put the fights together. When fights fall apart, they're dealing with trying to find the replacement. Sometimes the replacement just comes to them and falls in their lap, right? Sometimes the manager will say, "Hey, my guy is out, but I have another guy who hasn't been signed by you guys yet. But can we throw him in there? He's ready." And they're like, "You know what? Fuck it. Let's just give it a try."
Yep.
So there's sometimes that works out. When I was supposed to fight Matt Serra, and that's how Kelly Delonte got that fight. So he got thrown in because I was scheduled to fight him, and I ended up getting hurt. So he got thrown into that fight. João Perini, Yves Edwards got thrown into that fight. I was supposed to fight João Perini on UFC 37.5. And that's how Yves got back into the UFC or got into the UFC. So, I mean, I think I owe Clay Guida's in the UFC because of me. So let's just remember, I think I earned a lot of respect.
A lot of people
they
owe you.
They owe me. These motherfuckers owe me. I got my hands out, man. This is 2025. I'm here to collect.
I need some love.
No, look, these guys, obviously, all those guys are studs. They're all true professionals and stuff. But no, that's what happens with matchmakers. They're not just, hey, I put this fight together, it worked out, let it fall to somebody else. No. Like anytime someone falls out, the medicals, all the other stuff, everything needs to happen. So that's exactly what's going on. He's got his hands full. I don't think Mick really would like that full on every day fucking grind of doing the Dana White stuff with it all. I don't think he would. And Hunter's, got the respect to everyone. I think it's a good fill in terms of sound bites. Like I said, I think you're still going to get Dana Whites at the pay-per-views. Not having them there, like knowing that, hey, I'm going to walk in with Trump every show I possibly can, even when he's president, it's probably still going to happen. Like they're going to do it every time there's a huge pay-per-view, the International Fight Week, the Cinco de Mayo, those type, Mexican Independence Day. They're going to probably always bring in, whether it's Trump or whether big stars, whatever it is, and Dan's going to be there. So I think he does step away. I just don't think he's going to step away from the pay-per-view events or the big time, fight night events that are like, hey, I have a rising star that I want to be there for. I think he'll still make himself available for those things.
So you're saying yours is a diminished role?
Yes. Yep.
Got it.
Yep. What else you got for us, Dave? That's our 5 predictions for the 2025 year. And
they matched up pretty good without knowing.
That was crazy that we were so close.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
All right, so if you want to go to a first story here, Paige VanZant made comments that she is getting back into MMA by way of the GFL. Mm-hmm. Did you guys see her comments on this?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm going to go into this like I just talked about it a little bit. John, tell me if I'm wrong. We at least I've heard that, look, they're basically signing these fighters. I don't know if there's any pay coming along with them. Some of them I think have got a little bit of money to sign, but only to say that they're available and ready to sign with them in terms of a contract. That's it. So they can take those contracts to sponsors, people that are ready to go raise capital for this.
They get to try to get this league. They get to use their name.
Yes, I can say I've got a Paige VanZant. I can say I've got a Gegard Mousasi. I can say I've got, whoever else.
Luke
Rockhold. All these.
Dos Santos, yeah.
Yes. So I have these fighters available to me. They've all agreed to sign with us. All I need is the money to get this thing going. Now, what I have heard is they came out with some astronomical amount of money that they said they're going to spend in the first year. It was like $550 million if the team wins. It was maybe it's 250 million. I read it somewhere. What? It was crazy. I'm like, what do you like? That's one way to go out of business. I think these companies have, like, I don't know if they just see what the UFC's making and think like, you know what, the money grows on trees and it's going to be coming in, and
we can do it.
When it does, we can do it. And if it was that easy, everyone would be doing it. How many promotions have failed alongside the UFC? I mean, the UFC was failing when they first came in.
I'm gonna go to Matt Brown, because Matt Brown had a little interview and he said something that is absolutely truthful. And he said, like, everyone complained, the UFC was, at one time in the hole, deep in the hole, when the Fertitta brothers had bought it and Dana was the president and things weren't working out. He goes, and, they weren't offering fighters, guys like you, they weren't offering very much money because they didn't have it and they were losing money. And, then everyone now is all in this whole thing about, they don't pay fighters enough, while other, companies are out there saying, oh, we're for the fighters and we're going to pay them this, or we're going to give them health and we're going to, give them retirements and stuff. And it's like, how are you going to do that? How are you going to give a fighter a true retirement? You have got to make money to do these things. And to sit there and think that straight off the bat that you're just going to make money by putting fighters out there. People believe in those three letters of UFC. They believe that they're going to get top quality fights. They believe that those fighters are the best that are out there. And so they're willing to put their hard-earned money towards that promotion. And now that is the only promotion that has truly made, a lot of money. There are other promotions out there. The LFA makes money. They make money, but not money like the UFC, and they never will. But they know their lane, and they don't try to match up with the UFC. And that's where everyone is in this thing. Oh, we can be, like the UFC. We can be right with them. Man, no. It is not something that is, you can just do. And they were in a position where they were behind, and everyone that has come out and said that, oh, we're going to be the same as them, they've all failed. Right. Or they were bought out because they had dealings. Strikeforce, you can look at it. Scott Coker did a phenomenal job with Strikeforce, but he had to get partners in place to make it happen. And when eventually those partners I want out. Now it puts the other person in the position they have to agree when someone says, I'll pay for that. Now they're stuck with them as the partner, or they say, oh, we don't want a partner. We're going to buy the whole thing. And that's the kind of thing the UFC, has done and stuff. It's not an easy thing to do. This is not an easy business. And when people think that, oh, I'm just going to make money because I'm signing fighters, stop. Ain't going to happen.
Yeah, what you're running into, and it's a lot of it I blame on the managers. Because the managers go to the promotion and say, hey, I can take him to the UFC. And as a promoter, you're like, well, I want this fighter because I know this fighter is marketable. I know I could build a promotion around him. And the fighter's like, we don't care if your promotion survives. We want to get the most for our fighter, which is what their job is.
That's their job.
That's their job. But at the end of the day, when you take 3 or 4 fighters and like, hey, you got to pay my fighter $220,000 or I'll take him to the UFC, who's only going to pay him $100,000 if that. Yeah. But you're still going to take him over there if I don't pay him $220. I mean, I guess a lot of these smaller promotions, whether it be Bellator, whether it be PFL or ONE FC, they have to pay more if you want to get top level world class athletes. Yeah. And that's the downfall of being that promotion. That's the downfall of being number 2 or number 3, whatever it is.
You're going to be paying the fighters way more money than the UFC is.
And that's when I go back to the Strikeforce days. A lot of the downfall was they were in debt, but they were actually they were doing well. It wasn't like they weren't hemorrhaging money, but they were also spending a lot of money. And I would also go to argue to say that the thing that kind of cost them towards the end was the Fedor Emelianenko signings, and looked great to have him. He tried to step it to the next division. A lot of that had to do with Showtime. They wanted Fedor, and Scott wanted Fedor too, but he's like, I don't know about the price. This is too much. But the relationship had built. They learned to work together. And the bottom line is I think that ultimately was kind of the downfall of it. And nothing against Fedor. We know everyone has respect for him. But look, if you want to have the best fighters, you got to pay more. If you're not the UFC can get away with not paying more because the best fighters all want to go to them. So that's where that conflict is. If you want to build another organization off to the side from the UFC, there's a couple things you can do. You either have huge money backing, okay, which a lot of guys have tried, which is what I think Chaudhry is doing right now with ONE FC, and that's falling apart. You can only invest so much money, you can only sign so many people. He thought he had something locked in the Asia market, which I thought he did too as well after working with him for a couple of years. It just didn't work, and they're downsizing now, and they look like they're either trying to revamp and reload, or they're just revamping to just be a smaller show. The thing with Bellator and PFL, Bellator right now is, from what I understand, will be going away here pretty much, I think, after this next fight with Usman and Paul Hughes. We'll find out. And PFL will be available, but then a lot of those fighters will have to take pay structuring restructuring of their contracts.
Restructuring, yeah.
Yeah, so when they get that done, then we'll see exactly who all stays there and which fighters will be let go or released or basically just put on hold, which I think is a total dick move to do if they decide to do that. If they don't want to restructure and we just won't fight you, that's a dick move to do. So we'll find out about that as time goes on. But the other way of doing this is you can just be a feeder show. If you are starting a new promotion, you're a feeder into the bigger shows. And understand and know your place, like you said. And the LFA knows their place. That's why they make money. They pay their main events. Probably the most I think I've heard them pay their main events is like $5,000 and $6,000. Yeah. And the co-mains and all the other fighters down below are making $600 to $800 to $1,500. And look, I come from the old days. $500, $600, $1,800, $1,500 was a lot of damn money to me. My first fight in the UFC was 2-2. So I made $4,000 to fight Gerald Streetman in the UFC. Now I felt like I was rich, man. I was at the nightclub popping bottles after rich. That. I was
bottle service for you, baby.
Bottle service, baby. $1,200 of it was gone that night. It was just off bottle service. So I didn't say I was the best with my money when I first got there, but hey, it was a learning lesson. It's difficult, I think, for new promotions coming up right now. You're always going to be number 2, number 3, number 4, somewhere down there. And I said this, I think, a couple weeks ago. If you're going to try to compete with the UFC, do it quietly. Don't put their name in your mouth. Just leave it out of it. Let's not even talk about it, because all you do is bring criticism that you're trying to compete. There's no competition. It's not. I believe and maybe I'm wrong, I believe the last real competition was Strikeforce. And that's not being biased. I felt like there was momentum growing with Showtime. They were working on the CBS deals. Like I know that the whole Nick Diaz Mayhem thing, blew that up for a bit. But let's be honest, it was gaining ground, and they were starting to get back. They were starting to come receptive to it towards the very end of doing it again. And they were like, finally, that whole deal fell apart because the NBA San Jose was trying to bring an NBA team to San Jose, and they needed to have liquid. So Silicon Valley Entertainment needed to have the money to go to show liquid that they could have an NBA team there. And needless to say, they ended up selling it for pretty much no reason because the NBA team never came. So, that whole thing fell apart, and, UFC picked up the Strikeforce athletes and the contracts and all of them.
And it worked well for them.
For a bargain deal, and it's worked well for them. Obviously the purchasing of Pride was a huge deal. I think that's really what catapulted UFC into being number one. But I feel like what really squashed the market for any other competitors as after they bought Strikeforce, they really solidified the fact that they were the top dogs. They'll always be the top dogs. And I don't know if you're ever going to have another promotion that will be able to compete with them, or at least be a kind of in the peripheral, as I'd like to say, coming up behind them. I don't think there's going to be one of those for a long time.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. It's going to be very tough, and it takes a lot to be successful in the sport promoting. They're a machine at doing it. And again, it's one of those things that people, I try to explain to people, everyone takes a look at the money and they go, oh, look at how much money they're making. They spend a lot of money too.
Yeah.
The marketing that they put out, the films and the things that they do to bump, fighters up in the eyes of the fans and everything. There's a lot of money that goes out. Now they're successful and they make a ton of money, but it takes a lot of money to make a lot of money. And so they're burning through a lot too.
Agree. What else you got for us, Dave?
All right, let's look at next one here. Calvin Kattar has an opponent against Yusuf Zalal in February, UFC Fight Night.
Good fight.
It is a good fight. The real question here is, Yusuf came into the UFC. He was a hot prospect, and it didn't work out in the beginning. And he went away and learned some stuff, and then came back, and he's really looked good in his performances so far. Calvin is in that position. It happens with everyone. Calvin was one of those top guys for a while, and now he's in the position of he's lost some fights. He lost his fight to Aljamain Sterling in his last fight. It's getting tougher. He's getting older, and the young guys like Yusuf here, they ain't going away, and they're just going to continue to keep coming. And when you have the speed that Yusuf has, it will make it difficult for anybody who's getting a little bit older to stay with you. His ground game's gotten better. I'm not saying that he's going to be on the ground much. He's going to probably utilize his stand up against Calvin, and Calvin's going to utilize his against Yusuf. But this is one of those ones when you were just talking about, you look and you go, you're giving me that guy because you want me to be a stepping stone. Well, I think that's exactly what the way the UFC is kind of looking at this is. They're kind of using Calvin in that position, and Calvin's got to prove to them that they made a mistake by beating him.
Yeah, Calvin is one of those ones where I feel like he fell into the Josh Thompson position where he was rising up, doing well, and then he decided to not fight as often as he possibly should. He's should be a little bit more active. I don't know if you pull up, I see he should have just been more active. Let's just take our chances, man. Grow a little bit, become just he's got good takedown defense. He's not bad. He's good at getting back to his feet. He's also got away from kicking. He's more of a boxer now. Yep. He's like a Rob Font almost.
Well, they're from the same team.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's like a Rob Font almost, where they have more tools, they just choose not to use them. And it drives me crazy. But with him, how often has he fought? When did he fight in 2024 and 2025? How many times?
Once in 2024. Okay. And then last time he fought 3 times in 22. Not 23, and then once in 21, twice in 2020. There you go.
Yeah. So 3 times in 22, none in 23, and then 1 time in 24. Yeah. Towards the end of your career, it's really, and that was a mistake that I made on my own part, is that I should have been more active. Every 6 months, I should have been like, hey, let's fight. Especially at the age, what is he, 36?
36 now, yeah.
Bro, you got to cash out. The likeliness of making that title run is less and less likely if you're not staying active inside the cage.
Yeah, but you got to look. He's got his last 3 fights he's lost.
Yeah, I get it.
And this is where and that's why I said you had Josh Emmett was the first one because he had beaten Giga Chikadze, which was a great performance. Because no matter what anyone wants to, Giga Chikadze on the feet, is freaking good. But he lost to Josh Emmett on a split decision. I know he lost to Arnold Allen and then lost to Aljamain Sterling. So he's in that position right now. The confidence is not the same as it once was. No. When he was when he went in against Max Holloway, that was the one because he had come off of a couple of wins. Jeremy Stevens was a win. It was a big knockout, I want to say. I think he hit him with an elbow, if I recall. Then he beat Dan Ige. And then he set him up for that big fight with Max Holloway. Didn't go his way, but came back after that, got that win against Giga. But ever since then, man, and this is what happens. And I know it's not nice, but promotions end up putting you in that position. Hey, you either got to step up or we're going to use you as a stepping stone. And I think that's what they're looking at with this matchup against Yusuf.
Yeah, but there's a mindset that goes along with fighting when you're around 35, 36 and you start losing. It's like, man, if I fight more, I'm going to lose more. I'm going to fight more, I'll lose more. The mindset, honestly, and I went through this already, and my mindset had to change when I went to Bellator. I was like, fight as much as you possibly can. First fight I fought in Bellator, I turned around. I was like, hey, let me know when you guys are ready. They called me on short notice. We put a main event together in San Jose. Literally fought 3 weeks after I fought the first fight. I turned around and main evented another one in San Jose about a month and a half later. So it was about staying as active as I possibly could. And then the thing is, after that fight, I took some time off because I was doing commentary stuff, but then also the fights weren't available to fight Patricky. And that downtime got me away from training as much as I could have or should have. And it also got me I wouldn't say ring rust because it wasn't that much time off, but the energy and the excitement of being back in there, it wasn't there as much as it was. Just that feel of the speed, the fight speed inside the cage, it goes away faster as you get older. And then the fear of like, oh man, if I lose, I'm going backwards now, and where am I at in my career? You've just got to, that old saying of just get back on the pony or get back on the horse and let's go. That's really what it comes down to in this position at 36 years old for Calvin Kattar. So he's just a fantastic athlete. He's always been a fantastic fighter, but the inactivity I think is what hurting him in the long run.
Yeah, and they're putting him against a younger fighter. A younger fighter that's at Zalal's got what? I want to say 6 or 7 wins in a row. So look, this is a kid that's got confidence now. He was away from the UFC. He got some wins. He came back in the UFC. He beat guys like Jack Shore. He's gone and just on a run now in beating guys. So he's confident. His confidence is sky high. That makes him a difficult opponent.
Yeah. What else you got for us, Dave?
All right. Over here we got Pico as a free agent right now. Ali is saying that he would like to go to UFC. He's sure the UFC would want him, but whatever the money is where Pico will go. And so if the PFL offers him,
I heard that the PFL has offered Pico. They've offered him a championship fight, I believe. I don't know if that would be in Bellator. If they said it was going to be in Bellator, because if Bellator is not going to be there, they can't be a championship fight there. But be it in the PFL or Bellator, they've offered him a championship fight, and they've offered him supposedly a very nice contract. But really, that comes down to where Aaron Pico wants to be and what he wants to do, and he's smart. He's now a smart man. He used to be a young kid. He's a man now, but you're talking about an incredibly talented fighter in Aaron Pico. UFC would love to have him.
Yep. And 145 pounds, I think he'd be a fun addition to that. Like we talk about guys being added, whether it's Patricio, whether it's Magomed Sharapov, Hassan Magomed Sharapov, or Aaron Pico. These are guys that could be added into those weight class. And I think not only just have success, but they would definitely put on some great fights and make them entertaining. Just
think of how it opens up the matchups in that division. So many different matchups that you can do, because look, they're going to be successful against a lot of guys. I'm not saying that they're going to win the championship, but they're going to be successful. They're good fighters, so it just opens everything up. It would make Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard, it would make their jobs just a little bit easier, because it's like, I'll throw this guy in.
Yeah. The thing with Aaron is, like you said, he's a man now. He's not Cheeks anymore. The kid that was 15 years old, everyone called Cheeks. Like he's a full blown man now. He has a son, and he's doing the best he can as a father, and making sure that everything he is putting into his family and his son and his life. And I love seeing that about him. I follow him on social media, and I've known him for a long time. He's a great kid, man. I call him a kid, but he's a grown ass man who's doing great things for him. And I see his sons racing like the little dirt bikes.
Yeah, little electric bikes.
Electric bikes. It's so cool to see. Just seeing him go through the ruts and hit the whoop-de-woos, and it's hilarious to see it. But I think he'll end up going wherever the money is. He's kind of, look, when you're somebody in his position, you're looking to go where the most money is. I just hope that wherever he goes, that they keep him active so he can actually make the money. That's the thing. ONE FC was offering a lot of money, but they fought you once a year, if that. Yeah. So what's the point of having a contract that pays you a lot of money if you're not active, and you only get paid when you fight? So why would I sign? In the UFC that they're going to offer you 3 fights a year, and it's up to you to take those 3 fights. That is one of the things that they've always banked themselves on, is saying, hey, we guarantee you 3 fights in a year. Yeah. And if you just say, hey, no, not right now because I'm working with something, or I have a wedding, or okay, cool, we'll just extend your contract till you're ready to fight, which 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever it is. But when you're ready, you let us know, and we'll throw a fight together. Yeah. They're great at doing that. Other promotions don't have the same availability or capability of doing that. So hopefully whatever he does, they keep him active.
Yep, I agree.
What else, Dave?
All right. Let's hop into some fan questions. OnlyFans.
All right. Let's go. So what Dave will do sometimes when we do our live chat, he'll post up a Q&A over there on the OnlyFans. So subscribe to us over there. It is free. Like I said, if you don't follow any of the other smut, and you just follow us, that's all it's going to come up on your feed, as well as you can follow like people like Valentina Shevchenko, Stipe, DJ, other athletes that are on there, other MMA fighters, some boxers are on there, some pro surfers are on there, Formula One racers. There's plenty of athletes on there for you guys to follow if you guys are into following sports. And it's just a good way to connect with them. You guys can actually ask them direct questions, just like us. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. So first one here from Brian. If you could make a fight card with your dream all-time matchups in each weight class, what fights would be on there? Obviously, we're not going to do each weight class, but just maybe your favorite weight classes.
What would be my all-time favorite?
You say, hold on. Are you saying in each weight class, what would be my all-time favorite matchup in each weight class?
Yeah, so if you could make a fight card with your dream all-time matchups in each weight class, what fights would be on there? Maybe just pick a couple from whatever you want.
Josh, you pick 125, I'll pick 135, you pick 140, or I'll pick 125, doesn't matter.
Okay. I would have liked to have seen before he retired was DJ and Horiguchi again.
That's not a bad one. You got to figure DJ beat Horiguchi the last second of the 5th round with an arm bar.
Yep.
So, but I can understand that fight. In the 135-pound division, if I was going to say an all-timer that I would like to see, man, I'm going to have to say in their prime, I would love to see Dominic Cruz going up against someone like an Umar Nurmagomedov or Apache Mix to see just how good he could do in something with, the way those guys are. Because Dominic is, in my opinion, probably the best guy that's ever fought in that weight class, but guys are getting better all the time. And I'd like to see how his style when he was on top, how he would do.
That's good. I like that. For me, I'm going to go back to what we talked about earlier. For me at 145, I want to see Jose Aldo versus Patricio Pitbull in Brazil, with, in the biggest arena you could possibly fit every person in there. I want to see them get their due, both of them.
Not bad.
What? 155.
Oh, man, if you're going to go to 155 and look at it, I'm going to have to say that I would go back all the way to, I would love to see BJ Penn taking on Habib Nurmagomedov.
Ooh,
damn. Come on, baby. Yeah.
I train with both, man. Both of them were fantastic, different and unique in their own ways. Yep. That would be just a hell of a scrap, man. If you got the BJ Penn that fought Joe Stevenson.
We're talking about these guys in their prime.
Yes.
So, yeah, big difference.
So the BJ Penn that fought Takanori Gomez, Joe Stevenson, Diego Sanchez, Kenny Florian.
Yeah.
That one. Yep, that one. Yeah, it would make for a very fun, very, very fun fight. Yep. Just unique fight. Let me see at 170. Oof, 170. Ah,
come on.
I know. I actually I would like to see it. Like I'm being honest right now, and this is it's weird because I would want to see maybe how Bilal Muhammad would do against GSP. I would want to see it. I know people they always hate on Bilal, this and that, but right now I feel like he's just found his groove. The head movement, the striking, and people criticize him so much, and I'm like, he would pose some threats. There's some threats there. He's got good takedown defense. He's got the pressure and the cardio. Look, GSP was known for his conditioning, his cardio, but there was moments where he took steps back and he had to get his breath. And I don't really see a lot of that from Bilal. He's the constant pressure. He's always right within that phone booth to fighting you. I wonder how GSP would have taken that. Plus, even though Bilal, his striking is not the greatest, but he's gotten a lot better in his last 3 or 4 fights. GSP, I wouldn't say he was chinny, but his chin wasn't a Chuck Liddell chin, the early Chuck Liddell chin, by the way. His chin was never that. Certain fighters just didn't have that Chuck Liddell chin or, other guys that had the big chin. BJ Had one of the best chins, man. That guy could take a fucking crack.
Yep.
Guys like that, they're born with those chins. GSP wasn't born with that chin. Bilal, he's got a little power, but he puts the pressure. He's constant grinding. I would like to see that matchup. That'd be a good matchup.
Not a bad. If I was going to go 170, I would have been a little bit different, but it would have George St. Pierre would have been in that. I would have said George Kamaru Usman.
No, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And that's nothing against Bilal. It's just Bilal has not been the champion for that long, and Kamaru was the champion for quite a while. So
yeah,
I would probably want to see that one.
I get it. I understand. I get it. What about 185?
185. I'm telling you, you got to go and say you're looking at how good people are in their prime, and I'd like to bring Anderson Silva and everything into it. But I would go with today on this one at 185. I would love to see DDP against Johnny Eblen. I think it'd be a fantastic matchup. I think either guy could win the fight. They both have their strengths. I love the way that DDP, is just the dude's a stud, man. I mean, he's just a tough individual, but so is Johnny Eblen. And, Eblen hasn't been defeated. And I would like to just see that fight. I think it would be a fun fight.
That would be a good fight. That would be. Look, anytime, like I said, anytime you shoot a new name into the bracket, you're like, okay, how would they pan out? That's how I'd want to see how he panned out. Yeah. I would probably go a little bit more of a throwback, in that division. But I would like to see somebody. I would like to see like a Frank Shamrock versus Michael Bisping.
Oh, okay.
Like that to me, like Bisping had the cardio, so did Frank.
That's it.
Bisping had the better striking, Frank had the better grappling. Neither one of them really had great wrestling. So it could have been a fun fight, but I think it would have been fun. There would have been a lot of trash talk, by the way.
Oh my God.
Ton of trash talk. While the fight was going on, it would have been fucking awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, that would have been a good one. I would have liked that one.
205.
205 is yours.
Okay, yeah, shit. I mean, listen, we're gonna go right to the 205. I'm gonna go Chuck Liddell and Alex Pereira.
Okay.
I would have went right to that. Both like to stand. Both, I think that Alex got the better striking, but Chuck would have had to probably utilize a little bit more of his wrestling in there. I don't think he would have. So he would have been relying on his chin, taking big shots. We would have had to see what happened, but I think it would have been a great fight. I think the fans would have fucking loved it. The build up to that fight would have been great.
Yeah. Heavyweight division. I'm gonna go with the fight the UFC could never put together. And it could be one of two. It would be Fedor Emelianenko taking on either Randy Couture, which was the fight that Randy wanted, that the UFC always gave him problems with because they couldn't get Fedor, or they did try to put Brock Lesnar against Fedor. So that would have been great, but the one that would have been the best overall would have been Cain Velasquez against Fedor Emelianenko.
Yeah, that's the fight I would have liked to have seen the most, was Cain Velasquez versus Fedor.
Yep.
And a little side note for me, just because I'd seen it so many times in training, but I would have wanted to see it in live. I would have seen DC versus Cain. I mean, like, I've seen it so many times fully gloved up and everything, but it would have been, I think the fans, you guys don't realize what I got to sit cage side too almost every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It was fucking awesome. Just watching all the guys that I got to see inside, AKA Spar, live. And just, man, we had so many guys. I mean, I've seen Cain go through LeVar Johnson, Mike Kyle, Paul Bonatello, DC. I mean, Mark Ellis. I mean, fuck, there's more heavyweights that I'm forgetting, I know. But, I mean, he would go through all of them in one sparring session, But look, when the gloves get put on, the lights turn on, just watching the fight, seeing how it all turned out, I would have loved to have seen it. Would have been a great fight. The fans would have loved it.
It would have been, except, that's one of those ones that no matter what, like DC he would have shown up, but mentally he wasn't there to beat Cain.
It would have been hard for him. It would have been hard. Yeah, it would have been hard. I just say, like, the two of them were such great athletes, and Cain didn't get the credit he deserved in terms of athleticism because of the way he looked. But man, that guy was a fucking freak. Oh, yeah. He was a freak on just the things he would do and learn. DC obviously can speak volumes, or he speaks on himself, just like his workload. He's, two-time Olympian. You got to be an athlete. Got to be a super athlete to be there. So, and then becoming a UFC champion at 205 and a heavyweight. Come on, man. Great stuff. Great. It would have been great. But obviously those guys would never fight. They spar together. But look, I was privy to seeing such great sparring matches. Would have loved to just put one on tape and show the world how great these guys were together too. Just watching them. It'd be awesome.
True.
What
All right,
else you
Dave,
got
next
for us,
one.
Dave?
JW asks, when refs push away fighters when they check on an opponent they knocked out, is it because they're afraid they're going to take another shot?
It's when they're pushing them away, what they're telling them is the fight's over. And that push is making them realize, hey, I don't want you to throw another shot. And so you're trying to move the fighter away from their opponent. Sometimes that's not easy based upon the size of the opponents and what they're doing. But yeah, you're always trying to just separate and make sure that they realize, hey, it's over. I'm calling it. So you don't have to do any more. You don't have to try to damage him in any way. Because, we tell the fighters, in the back, hey, go until I tell you to stop. When I tell you to stop everything you're doing. The fight's over. Stop. If you're throwing punches, stop throwing your punches. If you're in a submission, let go of it. When I tell you stop, we expect you to stop. And so, that's just part of it. Every referee does it a little bit different, but yeah, we don't want you damaging an opponent that we feel has taken enough at that point.
Can I ask you a question? We're talking about dream fights. Let's just have a little fun with this because I saw some people going in there talking about what would be your dream fight for me?
For you? If I was going to say, when you were just, really fighting well and doing everything the way you should have, I would have loved to have seen you against the best one that I can think of that I would have liked. There's so many different things. You against Sean Shirk would have been interesting in the fact that you both could wrestle. You both had cardio for days. Sean Shirk he was called the muscle shark. Mm-hmm. But for a guy that was really compact and he just could go. He had a lot of muscle on his frame, but he could really just, get after it. He didn't get the credit he deserved because a lot of his fights were boring. But I don't think that a fight against you would have been boring. I think it would have been exciting. I think you guys would have brought the best out in each other. I think he wouldn't have been able to take you down that easily. I think you would have tried to keep it on your feet more based upon your range and everything, and it would have been an interesting fight. I think it would have been very similar to the way BJ Penn kind of did that fight. But that would have been one, and the other one that I would have loved to seen you in would have been against Takanori Gomi. I think you and Takanori Gomi would have been a hell of a fight. I think you were better on the ground than Takanori. I think he had power that you didn't have. Mm-hmm. You would have had to use volume to try to get him out of there. He would have been using power to try to get you out. It would have been a great fight.
I wish I could find that sparring session I had with him at AKA. We had some good rounds. It was a lot of back and forth, but you hit a nail on the head, man. Like submission wise, grappling wise, wasn't even in the same park.
No.
On the feet, I had to be very cautious because he did have power, and he was wing it from anywhere.
Oh, he would wing shots.
Yeah. That was the thing with him, is like you didn't want to be on the opposite end of wherever he was winging it from. And if he caught you, like, because it was just so careless. He didn't care. He relied on his chin to get him out of trouble.
Yeah.
That's good. The Sean Shirk fight, I trained with him as well because he was managed by Dwayne Zink and Bob Cook for a long time. But I was training with him when he was fighting at 170, so hard for me to say. He was able to control me quite a bit on the ground. Even when we started on the feet, he was able to take me down and hold me there. And he was just so physically strong. But I think at 155, it would have been a different story, because there was a couple times working with him after about a week or two of being able to get up from the bottom, things like that. I was able to start working better with him. But I think once you get rid of that 170, you get you down to 155. It makes a big difference. People don't realize, like when Habib would show up and Islam would show up to camp, I was like, man, I can't move. These guys are just. But as they got closer to their fight, to fight weight, it was a big difference. I was able to get myself back up. I was able to do more things. So, there's 2 fights, obviously, for me. I always wanted the Donald Cerrone fight, but only based on the fact that I had a lot of respect for Cowboy, man. I loved watching him fight. He would fight anybody, anytime, anywhere, all that stuff. But the one for me, I think, would have been Ken Flo. I love Ken Flo. I think I've always been a big fan of Ken Flo. He was never the guy that like captivated the TV though, but it was like I saw when I watched him fight, so good on the feet, very hard to deal with, elbows, southpaw. The grappling was another thing. I was someone I felt like they would match up really well with me grappling. He would make mistakes, but not on the levels to where I could potentially catch him. If I made a mistake, he could catch me. I felt like that would have been a really good fight where neither fighter could have made a mistake. So he's someone I always had the utmost respect for. I guess an honorable mention too would be Jens Pulver, only because we both came from that Idaho area for a bit. That's the Jens Pulver thing.
I actually should have called that one out based upon you guys coming up from the same area for a while.
But he's a great guy.
The
man.
fight that never happened.
Yeah, I know. The one that was built, so much build up for that, never came about. Dave, what else you got for us?
All right. How about we take this last one from Alex the Great here?
Okay.
Has there ever been a fight where a corner has tampered with the water with electrolytes or maybe some element to help their fighter recover faster?
Maybe some element. I love it.
Element in there.
Also, what is your okay? So that's first question. Also, what is your favorite meal to have for these holidays? Happy New Year's, guys! Hope 25 brings health and good times to everyone. Starting with subtitles for podcast Dave. JK.
Subtitles for Puck.
Yeah. So first has there ever been an incident where someone's tampered with the water with electrolytes?
Well, there has in boxing.
Yeah.
Obviously, the most famous one in boxing was Aaron Pryor. Aaron Pryor long ago against I'm losing my fucking gourd now. He was my favorite fighter. He's from Nicaragua. I loved him.
The smoker.
Shit. No, God, no. Cardo Mayorga? No.
I thought it was your favorite fighter.
Jesus. When I was a kid, I used to love him. Alexis Arguello, thank you very much.
Okay.
Alexis Arguello was just a phenomenal stand-up fighter as far as his boxing was so clean. But Aaron Pryor was this just machine, and he would take big shots and come back. But he was losing to Alexis Arguello in a fight, and Panama Lewis was his corner man. Panama Lewis basically said, give me the bottle, the special bottle. And what they're going to say was in it, I can't tell you but they did say that it was compromised, and he ended up beating Alexis Arguello in that fight. But it has been done. I cannot say it's ever been done in MMA in that fashion. We've had some things happen in the corner that you look and you go, yeah, you can't do that. But with the water, there are differences in athletic commissions as far as some will allow something more than water. Some will allow something like a Gatorade type thing, but it has to be, checked and everything. But for the most part, never seen it really happen as far as illegal in MMA.
And what was the next question?
What do you guys like to eat around the holidays? Kind of meals?
I mean, it changes. It changes for me. It changes so holiday time for me for like Thanksgiving. Instead of doing turkey, I do like a big ribeye roast, like a prime rib. So I'll do that. I'll spend a couple hours smoking that. That's fantastic for me on Thanksgiving, like that Thanksgiving time. During Christmas time, we'll sometimes do the prime rib as well, but then we'll also add in basically like fried crab. So I love the fried crab and the fried shrimp and all that type of salt and pepper fried chicken, stuff that's not good for you at all, because because in a couple of days you're gonna get that whole new year, new me bullshit. And so I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna live it up. I'm gonna have my last drink. I'm gonna do this and do that. And then halfway through January, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's get some fried food. But let's have another cocktail.
I need a whiskey.
Yes. So normally for Christmas though, with my family and everything like that, it's normally like we'll do fried crab and we'll do fried like shrimps and then fried chicken, stuff like that, mixed with fried chicken.
Yeah, well, I'm more the everyday guy as far as Thanksgiving. I love turkey. We have been trying to do different things. We do the fried turkey. We do the splatchcock. I don't know if you've ever tried that. Those are fantastic.
I really don't care what cock tastes like, to be honest.
A splat. What? There's no turkey
for that.
There's no turkey cock. Okay.
I don't know what a splash cock is.
Splash cock is you cut out the backbone and then you flatten the bird out and crack its breast so it stays flat. So everything is but man, it cooks up beautifully that way. But I like doing that, and I like doing the same thing as Josh there. We'll do either a brisket or burnt ends or something that's special. It takes a long time to put together, but is that one thing? You're splashing.
Burnt ends with a little splash cock. That's all. It sounds wonderful.
Splash cock turkey, baby.
Oh, a little side of bourbon. We're good to go.
You need the bourbon beforehand.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man. All right, guys. Hey, I want to thank you guys so much. Thanks for bearing with us during the holidays, man. I'm really enjoying this, and I'll be at a different location for Saturday, and we're only a couple more days away from some fights, man. I'm looking forward to this. We have another week and a half or something.
Yep.
Another week and a half, and then of course the big pay-per-view January 18th and 19th, I believe, is the UFC with Umar and Islam. That's gonna be a great card. Looking forward to that. I'm a little biased though because my brothers are fighting. So
no, you're a lot biased.
I am a lot biased. Hey, go to WayneNimmers.com, pick up some of our apparel. It is available there. Also, this episode is brought to you by BetUS. Use YouTube 150 as the promo code. Subscribe to us over at OnlyFans. I want to thank you guys so much for supporting us over there as well. It is free. Thank you for joining us. And last but not least, use the link down below for LMNT, the best hydration company in the business. John and I drink it every single day. At least I haven't yet today because I'm all out. I ran out of packets while I was here. But hey, I want to thank you guys for continuing to support us. If you want to support us, support our sponsors. Thank you.
Absolutely. For everyone out there, I want to tell you, look, 2025, make it your year to do something special for someone. Treat people good, help people out. There's a lot of people out there that need that help. Be kind, and we will see you.